Hey there, everyone. My name is Ryan Schul. Welcome to my channel. So, in the topic today, I want to talk about McDonald's endless burger combinations and prove to you why these are not actually endless. So, if you say endless, that's like saying basically infinite or infinity, whatever you want to call it. And this was actually mentioned in some McDonald's advertisements a while back. They had the endless burger. So the concept is you can put anything on the burger that you want. You can have it with cheese, you can have it without cheese, you can have it with ketchup, without ketchup, with mustard, without mustard, mayo, pickles, relish. I think they had jalapenos, mushrooms. You can have the burger well done. You can have it just lightly cooked, well cooked, well done, very well done. There's different combinations, right? But it can't be endless and it can't be infinity. That just doesn't make any sense, right? There's very few things that are infinite in this universe. I think the universe itself is infinite. I think that's what scientists have determined. But you can't even say the stars in the sky are infinite, right? There are a finite number of stars, even though there's a lot of them, and this is a big ass universe. The number of stars are finite, and that is easy to prove. Just look at the sky at night, and it's mostly black. You'll see a few stars scattered around. If you're outside of New York City, which is where I live, you'll see a lot of stars. In New York City, you see a few. You'll see Venus and some of the brighter stars. But if you get out of New York, you see more, but it's certainly not infinite. Otherwise, the entire nighttime sky would have stars scattered everywhere, right? But most of it is black. So there's no such thing as infinite. And it's easy to prove this with McDonald's because you have a finite number of food items that you're mixing together. And it can be a big number of combinations. I'll show you how this works in just a minute. But to say that McDonald's has an endless burger is either ignorant, number one, false advertising, number two, or maybe they're just having fun and they say, oh, endless burger, we'll just come up with a fancy fun name that we can just toss around, and that's fine, right? If it's false advertising or if it's ignorance, McDonald's, that's your business. Like, you gotta get that straightened out, okay? But it's not endless. There's no such thing as an endless burger, but there's a lot of combinations. I'll show you how to figure it out in just a minute. So there's two main ways to attack this problem or to solve this problem. There's actually other ways, but two of the common ways are pick from any pool where the order doesn't matter. And I think that makes sense on a burger. You can I think they do put things in a certain order, right? Maybe the special sauce goes first, then the burger, then the cheese. I'm not sure. I don't work at McDonald's. But maybe they do have an order, but it doesn't really matter. The taste is going to be the same. Once you eat it, it's going to get crushed up in your mouth and it goes to the same stomach and gets digested the same way. So I would say the order doesn't matter. You can have different combinations of vegetables, different combinations of sauces. I'll show you how that works in just a moment. Or you can have a per category constraint, which is more like a Cartesian product where you'll have different combinations of different ingredients, right? And then you'll take all of these, multiply them all together, and you get a sum total. So it's pretty easy to solve this problem. Now we do have to make a couple assumptions. Let me hit Control Enter to run this. Now when I run this, I get 1.236125 million. So 1,236,125 different combinations for food items on the McDonald's menu. Now this is pretty simple and pretty straightforward. Let me take you through it. I have buns. There's 5 different buns, but you just have like one combination, right? Proteins, you just choose one type of protein. Now with cheeses, you can go from 0 to 4, but you'll probably have one type of cheese, whether it's Swiss cheese, and I don't even know for sure if McDonald's sells Swiss cheese. I'm just making an assumption here. So these are assumptions, okay? I can't tell you exactly all the cheeses. I think they have American. They could have what? Velveeta, maybe Swiss, maybe Gouda. I'm not sure. I'm making some assumptions here, okay? But you'll pick one type of cheese. You could have 2. If you pick 2 over here, this number is going to jump up. So instead of 1.236 million, if they did offer 2 cheeses, Control Enter, now you have 1.73 million. I think they're just going to give you 1. Now, if you had 4 different cheeses, if you said, give me every cheese you have, and they have 4, it's going to go from 1.7 million to, I guess you can't do 4. Let's do 3. 1.236 million combinations. But probably you're going to choose 1 cheese, right? So number of veggies, I'm saying you can have up to 4 vegetables. So probably lettuce, pickles, jalapenos, maybe mushrooms, maybe what else would you even get? Onions. I think they have onions at McDonald's. So I'm making an assumption you can get up to 5 veggies and you can pick up to 4. Okay. So I'm saying you can get up to 7 sauces, but most people will pick 2. If you change this up to a higher number, now you get more combinations, right? Because you have more opportunities for different types of sauces, right? Maybe you have 4 if you're really like a sauce boss or whatever. I'm saying most likely 2. But if you are picking 4, you'll have more combinations of sauces, right? In this case, it's 4.2 million. Realistically, it's probably 1.2 million, right? Extras. Now, this can be anything on the menu. Again, I don't work at McDonald's. I'm just trying to make some assumptions here. So maybe this could be something like, what do they even have? What do they even have? I don't even eat at McDonald's anymore. When I was younger, I used to love it. Now I can't even eat this stuff because they put so much salt and sugar. But an extra could be maybe mayonnaise on the side. I don't think that would be considered a sauce. And what else? Maybe like pretzels or something like that. I'm trying to make some assumptions and try to make it realistic. But again, like I don't work at McDonald's. I don't know all the possible types of food items that they serve there. Okay, but I'm trying to make this realistic and make this answer this question about McDonald's endless burger. So it's certainly not endless. In this scenario, you have 1,236,125 combinations of ways that your food can be prepared. But I want to level this up just a little bit and say maybe there are different types of buns. Maybe there's different proteins. Maybe there's different patty counts. Maybe you can have 1 patty. Maybe you can have 2. And I think they actually, on the burger, I think they have 1. On the Big Mac, pretty sure it's 2. And I think they have like quarter pounder. I think that's 1. But I think you could have 1 or 2. So I'm going to say 2 for this. Cheeses, I think they could offer 4 different types of cheeses. Again, these are assumptions that I'm making. I don't work at McDonald's. I don't know for sure. I could do some research. I did do some Googling yesterday, and I think these numbers make sense. I think this makes a whole lot of sense, and I'll show you why in just a minute. For veggies, I think you can have up to 6. In this case, I'm saying a person can choose up to 4. If a person chooses 1, this number is going to be far lower, 146 million combinations, right? But I think the average person could choose up to 4 different veggies, right? So I'm coming up with 1.1 billion, 1,196,135,424 combinations of food items. So sauces, I think they have about 9. In the last example, I kept it simple. I think they do have about 9. I can't think of all of them. I know they have like a barbecue, a chipotle. They have honey, mustard, ranch. What else is that? Like a spicy mustard or something. I think they have about 9. So I think this is realistic. But again, these are just assumptions that I'm making. I'll share all this code with you. If you know for sure that McDonald's has 8 and the average person picks up to 2, then make this change and you'll see what the result is, right? If you think it's 8, this number is going to come down. Instead of 1.196 million, now I have 962 million. I think 9 is pretty realistic. That's why I'm using 9 in this case. So I think it's 1.196 million. Onion style. So I think, again, this is another level of criteria that I added in. I think this makes sense. I think you can have finely chopped, like the onion slices or something in between. Extras, bacon, avocado, mushrooms, crispy onions, jalapenos, pickles. They might offer things like pretzels. I don't think so. If you had a pretzel in here, you could change this to 7. The combinations will go from 1,196 billion to 1,576, right? As you increase this number right here, the number of combinations is going to increase. That's the whole point of this exercise, right? Heat level, I think you can have no heat or just barely cooked. I don't think that is a good idea for a McDonald's burger, but you can probably have like a very light cook, mild, medium, or very well done. I know some people like their burgers well done. The toasting of the bun, I think it can come in very, very toasted or just mildly toasted, or maybe toasted or not, just one of those others. And then the total build is going to be all of these items multiplied together. So the buns times the proteins times this, times that, times this and that, and this and that. Heat level comes from here. right? And toasted comes from here. So you take everything, mash it up together, and you get your total number of combinations of food items, different ways to make the burger. So I found this article online. I had to Google it to see what people are saying about this thing. Okay, so this was the first thing that popped up, and really there wasn't too many articles on this, but this was my motivation for creating my video right here that you see right now. McDonald's mathematician proves that McDonald's endless burger combination are endless. So that's what I started out with. You saw that a few minutes ago. So he goes through, does all the math. Okay, so this is the mathematician. This is a summation sign. So you take the n over the k to equals 2 to the power of n. He's saying 30 different ingredients on the McDonald's menu. I think that is pretty realistic. I think this guy makes sense. He has 2 to the power of 30 minus 1. He subtracts 1 because you can actually say, well, what was his justification for this? Let me read this thing. However, he didn't include the case where no ingredients are chosen. So he subtracts 1. So if you just order a burger with absolutely nothing on it, a bun and a burger, so if you have a lot of food allergies, this could be an outcome, right? If you're allergic to all different types of food, unfortunately, I know somebody who is highly allergic to most foods. He can eat the burger and the bun, and that's it. Anything else, and he is going to have he's going to have a really bad day. So he can have the burger and the bun. That is one scenario, but that's pretty rare. So that's why this guy in this article is subtracting 1, because you could have a customer like that, but that's pretty rare that you're allergic to almost every food except for the bun and the burger, but it couldn't happen. So he comes up with 1,073,741,823. So I took my number over here. This is what I came up with: 1,196,135,424. So here's my number right here. This is the math guy's number, and I divide by 1 and convert that into a percent. So we're off by 11.3%. That is the difference between my calculation and the other guy's calculation. But I would say if you're talking about a billion, this is pretty close. This is pretty close. And again, I'm making some assumptions. He's making some assumptions. If the extras were only 5, right? If I take that out, Control Enter, now I have 896. But if you have more extras that people would typically choose, you're looking at a very likely scenario. Now I'm getting closer to his number, 1,413. Now it's a little bit higher. But again, this is just an estimate. So you'd have to kind of play around with these numbers just a tad and see what you can come up with. So if I take that, that would be 4 out of 6, 2 out of 9. If I put that to a 3, there's different combinations. Now it jumps up a lot. I'm trying to make this realistic and make this practical too. Control Enter. Oops. Okay, let me undo that. Now I jammed it up because I had an extra thing over there. Whoops. Oh man. Okay, so you know what? Let me pause it for a minute and get this back to a good state. Okay. So I got a little carried away there with the formatting and all that. You have to get this right. But so I'm just going to close and say you have to make these assumptions and make it as realistic as you can. So my number kind of ties up pretty close with that math guy's number. I think that mathematician was very close. I think this estimate is pretty close as well. But I did take some liberties here, and you really have to understand, you get out of it what you put into it. If these assumptions are way off and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, then the outcome is not going to make a whole lot of sense. If you have 12 different veggies that you can choose from, you have 16 billion different combinations. Do you really have 12 different types of veggies? I don't think so. I think they have about 6 or so. So I think this number is kind of realistic. I think it's pretty close. And that's what I'm trying to get to here. So something that's realistic, that makes sense, that's practical, that has an actual application. And I think this is pretty darn close, guys. So I'm going to close it out here. Here's my final results. Here is what the mathematician came up with. Here's the website for the evidence. Okay, that was my motivation for making this video, and to introduce how to do combinations. I'm going to come up with one more video about combinations versus permutations. So if you're interested in that stuff, check that out. I will share all this code with you guys like I do for all these videos. Save, export HTML, and I'll upload that file when I share the video a little bit later today. So that's it. for this lesson. Thanks for your time. Thanks for seeing through to the end. Appreciate that. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Okay, take care for now. Bye.